Mit sein Nose in de Boter fallen, and welcome to Shift+F1, a podcast about speedy race cars. That, by the way, is Dutch for to fall with your nose in butter.
Ooh, that sounds nice. Let's do that.
It means to be in the right place at the right time.
Oh, that's true. If I fell and then my nose ended up in butter, but just my nose, that would be a terrific time. I would absolutely adore that.
Yeah, two out-of-work F1 drivers, it seems, have butter on their noses.
They do.
We will get to later in the show. I'm Drew Scanlon. Joining me, Danny O'Dwyer. How are you, Rob? I mean, Danny.
Was that on purpose? Was that on purpose? That was very good.
It was not on purpose. I was thinking about the next thing, which was to say that Rob was on assignment, but Danny first. How are you, Danny?
I'm great.
Only the guy who I've been doing the show with for 10 years.
How are you, Rob? That was like a Freudian slip. I love it.
It really was,
I wish I was also Rob. I wish I was Rob. It would be a better podcast if it was you and Rob. And I was missing. I was off recording video game documentaries around the world. But I'm not. Rob is doing some business. He's dealing with some
wheeling and dealing.
He's wheeling and dealing, exactly. So you're stuck with me, but that's okay because I have the updated list of patron names, which is the most important part. Our title sponsors of the whole show.
That's right. If you are new to this podcast, a very warm welcome to you.
Hello.
And if you are new to Formula One itself, we've got an episode just for you. It's our preseason primer episode, which assumes no prior F1 knowledge and explains how the sport works and who everybody is. So if you'd like to go back and listen to that, it's episode 298. You could probably just jump right, jump right up to now.
Yeah,
we're on the end of the mid-season break.
That's
so
it.
You could come and watch the second half of the 2025
It's confusing because we kind of had two summer breaks. That happened again, but this is the real break just happened. We're coming back to Zandvoort, as I like to call it.
Oh, nice.
Thank you.
Nice.
Thank you.
Also, this show would not be possible without our audience that you mentioned, Danny, over at patreon.com/shiftf1, where every month we release ad-free versions of the podcast early, along with bonus podcasts and videos exclusively for our patrons that cover racing documentaries and films, F1 video games, experiments with other racing series, and a lot of weird things. So if you would like to support the show and get access to all that fun stuff, head over to patreon.com/shiftf1 or click the link in the show notes. What do we have going on this month, Danny?
We posted F1 earlier in the month, our review of the F1 movie. And then also just this past weekend, posted our review of the 4-part documentary series Earnhardt, which chronicles the life and times of Dale Earnhardt Sr. And also his beautiful racing children. We were really hot on this. This was a great series.
I was really surprised by Earnhardt.
Yes.
Highly recommend it, even if you're not, maybe especially if you're not well versed on NASCAR.
Yeah, yes. As somebody
I feel like it's just an insight into the soul of that sport.
Yeah, and I've been to a bunch of NASCAR races, and I like modern NASCAR, but I don't know the history of NASCAR. So this was super interesting to me for sure. I mean, it doesn't cover all of NASCAR's history, but you sort of go on a long ride through several decades of it in Earnhardt. 4-part series. They're all about an hour long. Yeah, really high quality stuff. Great stuff. Definitely in the top pantheon of motor racing documentary series out there for sure. So yeah, F1 and Earnhardt are up right now. And massive thanks to all of our incredible title sponsors, many of whom are really messing with me with the names, I'll be honest. The summer break, some of them got some ideas, including sticking "and" at the end of their name just to throw me off. So we'll see how this goes. Oh my God. Ricky Vahora and bit.ly/Hugo coin. that is not
Baby Hugo really getting in on the crypto.
Just early adopter. Makes sense.
Listen.
By the time Baby Hugo's 18, who knows? To the moon.
Yeah.
To the moon.
That's right.
The Chicken Finger Pita. I love how the Chicken Finger Pita ends up being one of the more normal names on this.
Right.
Matt and Harmony. Deange. It's a me, Ferrario. Online gambling. Mojo Nixon Gaming F1. Welcome back. Get Rich O'Die Ryan. Agave ATX. Cypress
Saying we've
Trading.
got our mojo back?
We do have our mojo back. Thank God.
Great.
Cyphers Trading. Turf SCS. Michael Maves. Mission Winnow. Telemetry Deck wishes for AO3 stories discussion. Probably not going to happen. At least with Rob not here. We need Rob here first for that. He's the expert. FTC, Drew Stewart, Bailey Foote. Fanfic reads as Patreon exclusives.
Oh boy,
see
the
about-
people
Yeah.
have an opinion here.
The summer break has made them all mad. Abraham Getchell, Bunny Fiend's good friend Yabs. Snigs, Alex Goucher, Max Voltar keyboards. You should check those out, by the way. I Googled that. They're pretty amazing. Max Voltar keyboards.
Okay.
Jeff Foster, Troy Stammer, William Romph, Rob's Ottoman, Lachlan the Madden Man, Samurai Love Story, and Jason Kelly. Thank you all so much. Our livery has never looked as good with all of your beautiful names on them.
That's great. Thank you, everyone. I assume Rob's... I love the cross-pollination that we're getting with other podcasts through the patron names.
Yeah.
I assume Rob's Ottoman, there's probably a story.
It's got to be
there.
a bit. I was thinking the same
Yeah.
thing. It's got to be something. Like, who knows? Who knows?
Elsewhere in the podcast sphere.
Exactly.
All right, well, let's take it to the news sphere, Danny. We teased it at the top. What's going on with America's team?
This was always going to be a fun one to do because they were never going to get American drivers. Cadillac, who are joining the F1 grid in 2026, they have announced their driver lineup, not one but two, both of their drivers, and they have planted their bet directly on aging second seaters. That's what they
Veterans, Danny.
Sorry.
Experience. You ever
Veteran
see that?
losers.
There was a commercial on in like 2004
Okay.
for
Great year.
Just for Men.
Okay, yeah, the hair.
Are you familiar?
Hey, look,
Yeah.
I've had gray hair since I was 19. Just for Men is my nemesis. I have never touched it. I never will.
Okay.
I've embraced the gray.
If you're unfamiliar, it is a hair dye thing.
That is just for men. If you're a woman and you buy this product,
Don't even.
you will go
kill
to.
you.
They will drown you in a lake.
But there's a product of theirs called a touch of gray for when you don't want to get rid of all of it. Oh. And to sell it, it's like it shows a young guy and then an old guy, and the young guy says, "My hair says energy." And then the old guy says, "My hair says experience."
No.
Yeah.
No. Oh my God.
And I think about it all the time.
Wow. Well, they've gone for experience. Experience not winning championships. Sorry, I'm just joking.
Wow.
Valtteri
Wow.
Bottas and Sergio Perez, famed Americans.
Listen, how do you get more American than Valtteri Bottas? He's really pivoted to Australia.
Well, so that's the thing, is that he's done an amazing job of
I would say
adapting
Ricardo.
himself.
Ricardo's the honorary American.
American, that's true. Yeah, he has American spirit, which would work because then they could have cigarette advertising as well.
There you go.
But yeah, no, they have unveiled Perez and Bottas. I wouldn't say massive surprise on this. Perez obviously is a free agent, having been dropped by Red Bull earlier, well, I guess last year. Oh, excuse me. Whereas Valtteri Bottas has been part of the Mercedes team, let's say.
The program. He's their reserve driver.
Yes, post his dropping from Stake
Sauber.
or whatever we're calling that team. Hilariously, though, he will be
I
taking
love this so much.
a grid penalty that he got at the Abu Dhabi race for spearing Kevin Magnussen. Let's just come out and say it in his final race. He has a 5-place grid penalty, which has been hanging over his license
because he never got to serve
the
it.
event because he never served it. He will serve it. Apparently, there is no what do you call it again when a law has too much time has passed for that law. Oh
my God.
See, age. My hair.
Statute of limitations.
My hair says experience. Exactly. There is no statute of limitations for smashing.
Well, there is
into
now,
K-Mag.
apparently.
Okay.
So this is the Bottas rule.
Oh, funny.
It's now new to the rules. If you are unable to serve a penalty in 12 calendar months, it's gone. But
you have to go to
Bottas
jail.
is not grandfathered in.
Oh, okay.
So he will have to serve it, apparently. which is very funny.
I'm looking forward to this era of Bottas and Perez. I mean, I think they'll be good teammates.
I mean, I think it makes so much sense. You're a new team.
Get
like you're not
experience.
even buying a team. You're like standing it up entirely. You want some old hands. And these guys are not only experienced, but successful race winners. And I think you need stability there. You need to be able to, you need some like scientific, you need to know that when they're driving around the circuit and something goes wrong, that it is your car, because that's points to what you need to fix. So I think this is wise.
Yeah, they're both seasoned dudes, and I feel like both of them, probably especially Bottas, are going to be good at giving feedback on the car as well. And I mean, they're old. They're no spring chickens, but they're both 35, so they do have a decent amount of racing left in them, and they'll both be hungry. You know, they're both not driving at the moment, so regardless of Bottas's current situation. So yeah, I mean, they talk about Alex Palou and all, we get an American in the American team and XYZ and all that stuff. Obviously, it's not the case, but I feel like as foreigners, these are some of the more white coded followers. Is that America coded followers? Why am I saying followers? Drivers, in that they're both have been in the sport for a very long time, speak really well, and I don't know.
Perez is a North American.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but I honestly don't. I don't. Put
Not
too
that
much
it
stock
matters.
In like,
but yeah.
Like you want people are gonna be a fan of your team because you do well, not because of the nationality of your drivers. I don't know. But yeah, Danny, you mentioned Alex Palou, current IndyCar champion. I think he sealed the deal with 2 races to go. He's won 4 of the last 5 championships, which is incredible given that IndyCar is a spec series. Rumors from the Indianapolis Star state that Red Bull has been sniffing around and talking to Palou, maybe to even partner Verstappen in 2026, which would be wild.
And career suicide, maybe.
Perhaps.
For somebody at the top of their game to go into the haunted second seat at Red Bull during a regulation change, the first year of a regulation change.
Wow.
I'm not sure. Look, there's going to be a lot of things at play here. I think when you talk to drivers who are making the transition from F1 to IndyCar, a lot of them talk about how, it's cool that we just like bounce around America. It's like really easy going. It's easier on the family life. It's not as much of a crazy circus. I think, some of it's going to come down to the lifestyle change for these guys, and also the money. Like those are going to be really big elements. F1 is just a different ballpark in terms of sponsorship money and team money. So, I'd be interested in how somebody like Palou sort of adds this one up, because I don't. Indy's like I don't know. I feel like IndyCar is in like an interesting place at the moment. I feel like they're filling up tracks and people like it, and he's top of it. It's not like it's in its waning days or it's having a bit of a crisis of popularity at the moment. And F1 is also in a weird spot. Like it's oddly uncompetitive at the top, and we have which happens sort of a lot at the end of a regulation, sort of a decade or an epoch of regulation. But we are entering a new regulation era, and also probably a refresh of these current 2026 ones in the next couple of years. So I don't know if I was making the transition from Indy to F1. I don't know if this would be the year I'd do it. What do you think?
I don't know. I feel like he's certainly established himself as a great driver in IndyCar. So I feel like if he flames out in F1, he could go back. And I think he is clearly a generational talent of the likes of Verstappen. So if there's anyone out there that I would have the confidence could wrangle that Red Bull car, it would be him.
Yeah, I guess it's worth considering the fact that he, like, I don't know, did he grow up? I presume he probably wanted to drive an F1. I don't know his history of how far
So
he
he's-
got into European specs, because he is Spanish and presumably did a lot of European karting and stuff.
Yeah, I know he was part of the McLaren program.
Okay.
And is currently embroiled in a $30 million lawsuit
Oh yeah,
because of the contract.
forgot about all that.
The Ganassi stuff. He, what was I going to say? Oh, he tested a McLaren F1 car, so he has driven one before.
And I mean,
He
he
certainly has the super license points, given that he's been a multi-champion in IndyCar.
Yeah, just looking up his career here. I mean, he started in like Spanish Formula 3, and he was in. I mean, the thing is, he went over to GP3, I think, pretty quick, or he went in pretty quick. So, he's driven alongside a lot of these guys, and was presumably on a similar trajectory. It says he went Super GT, Super Formula. So it looks like he kind of topped out at the 2018 Formula 3. And then decided to transition over to Japan, and then ended up in IndyCar. So I don't know if there was nobody for him or when he made that transition. So maybe he has been pining to get back to F1. I just feel like a transition like that has to be personal. I feel like money is one thing and everything else, but it is such a different lifestyle. And maybe...
He's still pretty young, though, right?
Yeah, and it's. Do you want to be the king of IndyCar? Do you want to come over to F1 and maybe flounder? Like, as you said, Indy's a spec series. You can rise to the top with talent. You can't in F1. You need the car. So, I can certainly see
New team principal.
him going either way.
At Red Bull, new team principal over there. New guard.
Yeah, but I mean,
And new regs.
Yeah, and no Adrian Newey. So,
True.
I just don't think Red Bull are the hand to be betting on. We don't bet on hands.
You know who is?
Bet on hands.
McLaren. And he's burned those bridges.
Yeah,
it seems.
that's a good point as well. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, they don't have a seat open anyway. All right, well, speaking of 2026, these are not super big stories, but Nicholas Tombazis, the director of single seaters over at the FIA, has been talking a little bit more about the 2026 regulations. They're still undergoing some tweaks, which feels a little late in the game to me.
It does.
But one of the things that he pointed out in this Autosport article is that, we've covered a few stories where drivers have tested the 2026 regs in the simulator. Verstappen was really down on it a few years ago. Albon most recently has been like, there is a lot to do here. And Vowles is kind of, his team principal at Williams is backing him up on that, saying like, there's going to be cognitive overload in the cockpit here. And so Tombazis is basically saying, I'll just quote here from this Autosport article, the reason they're driving the simulator is precisely to identify these problems so we can solve them. If we didn't have drivers in the simulator, we wouldn't have all this feedback. We can do quite a lot with simulators ourselves, but you actually need a driver in a car and get a lot of feedback. That's what's going on in these months. And we, especially from that initial Verstappen article, it raised a lot of red flags for us on this podcast, because he was talking about, because we're now shifting in 2026 to a more 50-50 split between the internal combustion engine and the battery, Verstappen surmised that, well, you're going to run out of battery before you reach the end of the straight. So what? Are we going to have to like downshift and like rev our engine to juice the battery while we're driving straight? This is going to be weird. And so Tombazis has picked that part out in this article as well. He says, quote, what we don't want is a situation where they have to lift off, for example, on the straights or anything like that. We will absolutely categorically make sure that they don't have to lift off in a particular area in order to do something with the energy or whatever. When they need to go faster, drivers will keep the pedal to the metal, as they say. He wants to prevent what he calls unnatural things on track. So he's saying the right stuff. Hopefully these regs get to a good spot before the season actually starts.
He's clearly saying this because it is a problem. Like you don't come out with these.
Or they're concerned about it.
Yeah, you don't come out with this stuff if this isn't something that is legitimately a worry this close to the transition over to the regulations. I suspect this is going to be a issue at certain tracks like China and Spa, like ones where you have increased levels of straight line areas, straights and fast turns and not many super hard braking zones. We actually have a really good email from a listener all about the battery stuff, who's an electrical engineer. So that'll be fun to dip into regarding this. But it's just weird. The whole thing feels really strange, especially given the direction of travel for this stuff now seems to be towards eco fuels or whatever nonsense name they're giving that stuff, and away from an increased battery component. But
I wonder how long these regulations will actually last.
Yes, slightly smaller cars, but heavier. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah, I think even now they still do things like shorten or lengthen DRS zones, right? There's always, game balance going on. And there are a lot of levers that they will be able to, it seems, adjust even throughout the 2026 season. Because I was reminded, again, in another Autosport article here, of the fact that they're getting rid of DRS as it stands for 2026. And but in practice, it's not, that notion is not entirely going away. So just to kind of refresh people here, because I also had to refresh myself. Number one, we're getting active aerodynamics. So, we're used to the DRS flap of the rear wing opening up. There will be more movable parts on both the rear and the front wing. And they say, the FIA and F1, that there are kind of two modes that the cars will operate in.
Yes,
to the they will be able to configure their wings too.
Yeah. So at one stage, they named them. Was it like X and Z or something?
X mode and Z mode. Yeah. So X mode is for the straights.
They have
low
dropped
drag.
The nomenclatures, they've said, but yeah.
Oh, have they?
They've decided to not call them that anymore. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, but I think they're hilarious, and we should keep them. They're so stupid.
What are they going to replace them with, though? Because or are they just going to say the active arrow is moving?
Yeah, like straight mode or corner mode or whatever.
Yeah, so I think, it was X mode on the straights and Z mode in the corners. These sound like Nintendo buttons.
It's like F-Zero X or something. Yeah, it's like, it's very silly.
And these will be driver controlled, but it seems like the low drag mode will only be available in certain spots like DRS is, but I haven't seen anything that's like you have to be a second behind the car in front.
Right, yeah.
So that's one part of it. The other part is that now they also have what they're calling manual override mode, which is a boost mode.
Push to pass.
It's like push to pass in IndyCar. It is a battery boost. Or I've seen it called a power unit boost and a battery boost in different places. I assume that's just different specificity. I think it's a battery only
they're calling
thing,
it
not
Y
an internal
mode,
combustion.
I think.
Right, yeah, just to confuse things. So we've got, active aerodynamics and the push to pass. I also haven't seen whether you need to be a second.
I don't believe so.
I think car in front.
I don't.
You just think it's whenever you're behind and have some battery to spare, you can go for it?
I think so.
Okay. These are the things that are kind of up in the air that I'm very curious to see how they shake out.
Yeah.
One other article here from the-race.com. So as part of all of this, because the car is heavier and there's more of an emphasis on the battery, there's also more emphasis on the regeneration in braking to charge the battery. Therefore, I can put a link to this article from the race in the show notes, because they talk with Brembo, the brake manufacturer, who is then also talking with the teams, of course, ahead of the 2025 season. And they're like, it's getting weird. Like, they want tiny brakes in the back, because so much of the slowing of the car can be handled by whatever, the flywheel or whatever.
Yeah.
That's regenerating power or energy into the battery, that you don't actually need big calipers to slow the wheels down. There are some regulations mandated by the rules for safety. Like, these things do need to be able to clamp down on the wheels to arrest the car when you really need it, for safety reasons. I think.
Yeah, and I suspect there is some element of, I bet the car brakes differently when, you know what I mean? When you like apply calipers to the rear, as opposed to if you, like you said, stick some sort of a dynamo on the engine as it's going down a straight, or as it's exiting a straight.
Yeah, but I just think this is one of those things that they're sort of flagging this to me, that this is going to be, when we first see the new cars on track, a lot of attention will be getting paid to the rear brakes and what they look like back there, what's going on, and it'll probably be something very different across different teams.
Yeah.
So
we have a really good email that actually talks about how much the current cars also rely on the or sort of use the recharging of the battery to slow the cars down already, and how much little the brakes harvest, I think, is the other thing.
Okay.
And I don't know. I couldn't tell you the laws, the 4 laws of thermodynamics off the top of my head, but I know that obviously one element of thermodynamics is that there is a significant...
Brake pads cannot allow a human to come to harm or harm a human.
Exactly. I know that there is like energy loss in that transition of, when you convert energy from one thing to another, that you lose a bunch of it. And yeah, it's interesting to see that they're probably not all that worried about harvesting from the brakes at the end of it, if they can save some energy or weight or whatever it is. So we'll see. I'm looking forward to see what this car's look like.
Yeah, we're getting close. All right, we're going to take a quick break, but then we'll be back with one more fun news story and then the track walk. All right, last quick hit here.
And now for something a little bit lighter. Is that what you're doing here? Is that what's happening?
Yes. Also we had gone past the mark that I like to try to hit the first break in.
We like to make sure you get
the only ad break we
those
do.
sports betting ads real early.
No, we turned those off, remember?
We did. We turned those off. What else did we turn off? We turned off any type of like penis enlargement. That was a whole section, I think. Was that? Or just the manosphere of various things. Supplements,
sure.
Yeah. Just for men ads might be turned on. I'm not sure. What else we turned
My
off?
penis says experience.
ICE recruitment commercials. I think we ticked double on that one. We were like, keep, because we just know that it'll just waste their money, and none of our listeners will be down for that.
So this story here, I posted in our our internal Discord that we use to arrange the show, saying, as if I couldn't love him anymore.
I know.
This is about James Vowles, team principal of Williams. Somehow got a helicopter pilot's license while being a team principal.
And a father of 2?
Also that. But not only that, did it in secret from his wife. So his wife did not know he was doing this.
I don't love that. I don't love that part of the story.
Well,
I'll be honest.
I mean, but like I just can't get over. Like, I got my pilot's license while I was working for myself, making YouTube videos. Okay, I had a flexible schedule. I don't know how he did this, but this is, and I'll also link to this article from Autosport because it's just fun to read. He says that he then told his wife, like, "Hey, let's take a helicopter tour of London." She's like, "All right." So they go, and because Vowles is tall. He's like, hey, can I just sit up front? I'm kind of tall here. And they're like, yeah, sure. And he had arranged all of this ahead of time. And then they take off and he's flying.
What a man. And then she's like, oh no, my husband, who I don't know, isn't a professional race car driver. What does he have any background in racing?
He does, and I thought this was the most fascinating part of this article because he and Martin Brundle, I had forgotten this. Brundle also flies helicopters. He's talked about it.
Oh yes, yeah.
He's mentioned it on commentary, and in this article, Vowles compares the two, and he says that even more than he did a little bit of fixed wing flying, but says that helicopters are a lot like racing. He says, quote, I'm pretty sure that anyone that drives a race car has what you need to fly a helicopter because it's very similar. You're just in tune with what the movement of the helicopter is and the micro adjustments you need to make. As far as I understand, it's when your inner balance gets in tune with what you can do in sequence with your hand and feet. This is differentiated from flying a plane where you can be hands off and the plane will fly itself for a little while. You are constantly in control of a helicopter. There is no coasting, So it's in that way he equates it to like driving a race car, which makes a lot of sense why Brundle would take to it as well.
Yeah, it's I don't know if racing fans of a certain generation, when it comes to helicopters, unfortunately, their minds immediately go to Colin McRae. Yeah. And so, I just worry. I hate helicopters, man. It's something, I know you can deal with it, but something goes wrong in a plane at 35,000 feet, there's a lot of mechanisms for that thing to come down safely. You can glide. You can glide, E-tops. Maybe you can't do a go around, but there's loads of ways to manage that thing down there. Helicopters do you remember Ty Root, who used to work at CBS?
Yes.
So Ty would tell me he used to work at a news station in Texas. So they used to do car chases and stuff like that, right? In a helicopter. But they flew under, I don't know if there was airspace close to where they were or whatever, but they flew pretty low. And he said that was the worst thing about being in that chopper, was that helicopters at a certain height, again, something goes wrong, you're trained to correct it. And there is sort of a glide. It's called auto rotation. And in fact, in that article, there's a clip of James Vowles' Instagram where he's showing himself demonstrating an auto rotation. Wow. And it is, for me, I understand there's a certain flight picture that you get used to in a plane. This is what it looks like when you land, even when you're doing an emergency landing. The angle is completely wrong in the helicopter. I gasped when I saw it because I thought he was just going to drive into the ground, but at the last moment he just kind of floats up and is fine. But it's a different beast entirely. It's totally right, how stalls work, and I think you can, because there's multiple rotors, right? So you can stall out one half of, in the same way you can stall one wing in a plane. You can, I think you can, I don't know, but anyway, fair play to him. I'm glad that he at least told his wife in the end in a very funny way, but I just love the idea that this was his version of having some type of, vice that he didn't want to tell his wife. You know what I mean? He's like, James, he snuck out again last night. I don't know where he's going. He's to another woman or a strip club or something. It's no, he's going to get his helicopter license. It's very James Vowles.
I told my wife Sarah this story that he surprised his wife by being able to fly a helicopter, and she said, "That's not happening."
Yeah. I feel like it's a family decision as well. It's like getting into motorcycling when you're in your 40s or something. You know what I mean? You've got kids and you're you know what I mean? Take care of yourself a little bit. But hey, look, that's just how the exciting world of Formula One is. They just live on the edge, I guess. And
that's right. Need that adrenaline. Speaking of adrenaline, Danny, Zandvoort.
Yes, Zandvoort. We brought it back. Should we have? No. Who knows?
It's not coming back after this. So
is this the last one?
This is the last one.
The last one, Vort. Goodbye, Vort. Zandvoort. Zandvoort. Sorry, I said Zandvoort by accident there. It's actually called Zandvoort. This is a classic.
But it is amongst the dunes, is it not?
It is. It is. Shai Hulud will be appearing some stage during Q2. Make sure you ingest as much spice as you can, and your eyes are glowing blue for Zandvoort. Yes, this is the Quidsack Hatteract of Max Verstappen's home race. I can keep going with this if you want.
It's good stuff.
This is the Dutch Grand Prix. The Netherlands Grand Prix. This is 4.259 kilometers, 2.646 miles. It's a little go-kart track in the sandy Andes. This has been around since the late 40s. Something happened in Europe around the early 40s. And then when that thing stopped, for some reason, a lot of people were like, hey, you know what we should do? We should drive around really recklessly in these mechanical boxes that we figured out how to make go fast during this whole thing. And, you know, there was this post-war boom of racing, and Zandvoort was another one of these tracks that just appeared in Europe, as they did all over the place in the late 40s. It was not part of the original 1950s Formula One, but it got added to the calendar in 52 and was kind of on and off, I'd say, for the next 3 decades up until 1985. And then it was gone. It was gone for the best part of my lifetime, basically, 30 years or so, 35 years. It came back in 2020 as a pickup during the COVID season, when they couldn't really find, you know, there were certain tracks that they couldn't go to, of course. And it's been with us ever since. And it's kind of a funny one. It's a relatively short lapse. We've got 72 of them. It's a very tight track. It's not great for the types of Formula One cars that we have now, the speed and the width of them. It's got an interesting banking in it, which is novel for a Formula One track. But the best races we've had here have been due to the local weather cells. This being on the sort of northwestern coast of Holland, of the Netherlands. Sorry. And getting some of that. I don't know if they call that the North Sea from that side, but getting some of that North Sea-esque weather flowing in at certain times. So yeah, it's a funny one. I think, you know, with Max's popularity, it made sense that we did it. It's an interesting looking race because, you know, it's all the sand dunes and the track has an interesting sort of visual characteristic to it. But it's never been one that I've been particularly looking forward to. It just feels like, and there's a great I watched a video over the break with Alex Albon sort of rating the tracks, and he said this one is basically just, it's like a procession like Monaco kind of feels like. It's not, you know, not particularly interesting.
Yeah, I'm looking back at my personal race ratings over the past 4 rounds, and it's one of each.
Okay.
I've given it a 1 for procession, a 2 for strategy race, that was last year, a 3 for entertaining, and a 4 for bonkers in 2023, where there was intermittent rain.
That one was absolutely bonkers. That was maybe race of the year in 2023, but entirely because of tire strategy and rain. This is also where Daniel Ricciardo busted up his arm a couple of years ago, avoiding a crash with Oscar Piastri, was it?
Piastri is the mind killer.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. There we go. You got in there. Nice work. Good job.
My own stats database here is, are you holding a knife?
Yeah, I did the knife thing. I did the Dune knife thing.
Oh, okay. All right.
I have a pocket
Where did
knife.
you just suddenly get a knife?
It's Skater XL, the video game, sent me a switchblade because that's what they're down with skate culture. No, don't skate with a knife, apparently.
Okay.
Maybe it's for grip tape. Maybe it's for taking off grip tape. I don't know. You don't often need, you know, I'll just use the scissors, but whatever. This is up there with some of the weirdest. What's the weirdest piece of video game merch that ever got sent to you? For people listening who are wondering why I'm holding a video game thing, this is a video game podcast that is a Formula One podcast. We work in this industry.
It's not a video game, but Cards Against Humanity once sent us 3 foot by like a meter square cube of Twinkies.
Oh my Lord. Really?
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
pretty great.
Yeah.
I'm going
And
to
I think I also had heard the legend of, it was one of the Rockstar games.
Yeah.
You know the one I'm talking about?
They sent an illegal weapon across state lines. I believe.
2 game reviewers, yes. It was brass knuckles.
I think it was, brass knuckles. Yeah. Knuckle dusters, as we call them in Europe.
I don't think it was a GTA.
I don't think it was. That's the thing I was about to say, and it wasn't the Warriors. I'm trying to.
Scarface?
They didn't do Scarface.
No, they didn't make that. Anyway.
Yeah, if it wasn't a GTA, I don't know what it was. Yeah, it might have been GTA, but I can't remember. But yeah, it's a federal crime. Did they ask people to send them back or something? But then that's also
sure. Yeah,
illegal.
This is not my story.
Yeah. Anyway,
all right, last 4 winners here. Lando Norris in 24, and then Verstappen. Verstappen does great here. He
grew up there in the sand dunes of Zandvoort.
That's right. Leclerc does fairly well here. Gasly is a good track for Gasly. Not a great track for Tsunoda. This is in his bottom 5. Red Bull does well here. Ferrari, Mercedes is kind of the top 3. Williams, not a great track for Williams, nor is it one for Sauber. So
it all depends on who the Bene Gesserit steam worthy, you know.
It's true. It's true. Also, very low DNF rate, so maybe don't expect a safety car. All right. Is that it for Zandvoort?
That's
here?
it. But the most important thing is the weather, Drew.
It sure is, Danny. We are looking at so this is a non-sprint weekend. We've got the normal schedule here, and qualifying time we're looking at 19 Celsius or 66 mid 60s for temperature, and the same temp on race day. Wind, kind of high wind on qualifying day. We're looking at like 15 miles an hour, or what is that in kilometers? 23 kilometers an hour. Climbing on race day to 40 kilometers an hour, or 25 miles an hour.
Jeez.
Out of the southwest. So, and they're right on the coast there. So there's not a lot sheltering them.
No.
So maybe look for some gusts, cars getting blown off the track. But the other thing, Danny, precipitation. Qualifying day, we're looking at 20%.
Oh boy.
And race day, 15%.
Oh boy. Okay, it's possible.
Climbing as the day goes on.
If it's windy, I hope that's like an Irish 20% where the clouds fly. Like in Ireland, it's like, oh, does it 20% chance of rain? I mean, I think we talked about this in the podcast before, where you're like, oh, it's 20% chance of rain. Where in Ireland, the clouds blow by so fast from the Atlantic all the time that it's like, it's not a 20% chance of rain. It's going to be raining 20% of the time. Like that's which might be a distinction that is unimportant
Without a
when you're
difference.
meteorology. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully there's clouds flying over this thing, and it just means that there's more of a chance that some of them are going to dump a little bit. That'd be cool.
Well, speaking of dumping, the Drivers' Championship looks like this. Oscar Piastri on top with 284 points. That's 9 points ahead of second place Lando Norris. He's 88 points ahead of Max Verstappen in third, who's 15 points ahead of George Russell in fourth. That is not a wide margin, 15 points between Verstappen and Russell. Charles Leclerc is in third, 21 points back from Russell, who is himself 42 points ahead of Lewis Hamilton in sixth, who's 45 points ahead of Kimi Antonelli in seventh, who's 10 points ahead of Alex Albon in eighth, 17 points ahead of Hülkenberg in ninth, who's 10 points ahead of Esteban Ocon in 10th. Wow. Haas driver in 10th. And a Sauber driver in 9th. That's wild.
It's all gone topsy-turvy here.
It really is. Esteban Ocon, though, just 1 point ahead of Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll, who are tied on points. Isaac Hadjar is 4 points back in 13th. Gasly's 2 points back in 14th, tied with Lawson. Sainz is in 16th place, 4 points back from Lawson.
Swing away.
Gabriel Bortoletto, 17th place, 2 points back from Sainz. Yuki is 4 points back in 18th place. That is a rough one. Oliver Behrman is in 19th, 2 points back from Yuki, and that's 8 points ahead of Franco Colapinto and Jack Doohan, who both have 0 points in the last places.
The
McLaren,
last places.
That's right, 20th and 21st. Did you know that there's no ties? You're just tied on points, but you're not tied in position
Ever. What if they have I guess you can never
there
have
are tiebreakers.
Identical. Yeah.
Yeah, so you're whoever has finished in more higher places more times is how it happens. McLaren is on top of the Constructors' Championship with 559 points. That is 299 points ahead of Ferrari. They're in second, 24 points ahead of Mercedes, who are 42 points ahead of Red Bull, who are 124 points ahead of fifth place Williams. They've got an 18-point gap down to Aston Martin in sixth, just 1 point ahead of Sauber in seventh. That's amazing. Racing Bulls is in eighth, 6 points back from Sauber. And Gene Haas and team are 10 points back from Racing Bulls, and Alpine 15 points afield of Haas in 10th.
There you go.
And there you go, as we head into
the midpoint,
the Zandvoort round.
Yeah.
If you'd like to join the standings yourself, you can join our fantasy league using the link in the show notes. You can also send us an email, shiftf1podcast@gmail.com or f1.cool/emails. Danny, shall I take this first one?
Please do.
From Zach, from Savage,
Minnesota. That's what I call Minnesota. Savage.
It's pretty savage.
Yeah. Savage.
Zach writes, I too have been kind of flummoxed by the way commentary talks about Piastri as if he is a soulless driving robot, when pretty much any time I see him, he's an affable person having a laugh. And after thinking about it a bit, I believe the reason is that commentary, and to a larger extent the sport as a whole, knows that when you have a good championship battle, it's best for the sport. One way to make a battle more contextual to the audience and more interesting is to have the drivers be opposing forces battling it out. I think because of this, and because Lando tends to be more vocal on the radio, everyone just kind of defaults Oscar into the Prost or Lauda role of the methodical, serious driver, while Lando becomes more of the Senna or Hunt role, where you hear them being described as having more raw speed, but more likely to let their passion get the best of them. That's my 2 cents. They so desperately want a battle like that, so they're going to try to fit Oscar into the mold, even if it mostly doesn't make a lot of sense. I think that's probably pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like a conscious thing that people are doing, but it's like we got to amp this up. What are the I don't know if this is weird, but in music software, there's a like a button called quantize.
Okay.
And it like snaps notes to be more on the beat. It's like taking a grayscale image and reducing it to only black and white. It makes things binary. And I think that's just what happens especially when we don't have a lot of data, right? We just hear what's coming from the radio and what's being said in interviews. You just slot people into stereotypes or into easily understandable archetypes. And I think that's just what happens. And that the severity of that gets cranked up when we're talking about a championship battle.
Yeah, and I think there is a connection between that type of interpersonal drama and how much it is entertaining as a sport. And I don't think this is a problem and we should artificially do something here. But we are basically the end of this season, the latter half of this season is going to be about Lando and Piastri fighting each other. But they're not really in the guise of a classic racing competition. Like, this isn't Senna versus Prost. This isn't Hamilton versus everyone. This isn't, you know what I mean? It's not that. Like, they are more, I don't know, calm in some ways. Piastri, especially when it comes to like, he's never really snapped under pressure, but he is much more funny and jovial than he comes across on the team radio. I think that's the difference, is that on the radio, he's much more chill and relaxed in the car, and Lando is a bit more emotional. But like, I don't know if like outside of the car, it seems like they're both kind of jolly. If anything, Lando's actually the one who's a bit more dour after races, especially down on himself. So I don't know. I think it's a he hits the nail on the head with that. But for me, looking at the rest of the season, I feel like it's kind of Lando against himself a little bit. I think being the more experienced driver in this team and trailing is going to be something that's tricky for him, especially as Oscar seems to have really, dialed it in. He's able to finish races. He's able to get as many points as he can. He's he doesn't seem like he's wobbling like that. So yeah, I hope we have a good championship battle right till the end. But it is not falling into the sort of categorization that would make this a lot more easier to market, I guess, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Let me take this next one from Paul. With the recent talks of the return to V10s and that many people preferred them over the V6 hybrids, it does make me wonder about those asking for it, as it goes contrary to one of the most fundamental aspects of the sport. It was a point made by Alex Wirtz when the new engines came in and everyone complained about the noise, or rather lack thereof. The noise you're hearing is wasted energy. It is energy that hasn't been captured and turned into performance. Ross Brawn, during his time, said he felt F1 didn't do a good enough job of talking about how efficient those engines were, reaching around 50 to 60% thermal efficiency. A road car has around 30%. I get the nostalgia for the V10s. They did sound great, but F1 is about pushing new technologies to the limit, and that's what the hybrids did. Perhaps they should talk about this more. Yeah, you can have V10s, but the car will be slow as ice. Slower as ice. Sorry, as ice. ICE will take longer to accelerate the heavy cars, losing the battery element, of course. But they won't lose the safety measures, which have also contributed to the increased size and weight of the new cars. I just thought I would love to hear your thoughts. Just a thought. I would love to hear your thoughts. And that's from Paul. That's a very nerdy way. It's accurate. It's a very accurate way, but it's a very dispassionate way of talking about those cars. I get it though. I think he's onto something here with, ultimately this is a sport that is attempting to justify itself by having some sort of connection to the world of technology and motorsports
and innovation.
So that's the thing. It's hitched its wagon. I don't know when this happened, probably in closer to the 90s or something, but the sport really has hitched its wagon to, we need to be part of the future of the automotive industry. And I guess that is a good point. I'm not sure how much energy they were losing in those old cars, but obviously with the hybrids, they are a lot more efficient, just by virtue of the fact that they are using batteries. Just already, you're not having to convert gas into whatever things moving around. I'm not an engineer. Here we are again with the laws of thermodynamics. Mm-hmm. I think the sound of the cars is important because it was so powerful. It's not the most important thing, but I hope that it is a factor in the future of the regulations. It doesn't have to be the most important one, but I hope that it is a factor.
Yeah, I think, this comes down to, it's kind of two things happening, right? Like the F1 is about, ostensibly technological innovation, but it's also a sport that people have emotional feelings about and nostalgia for. And I think that's where a lot of the sound stuff comes from. So to say that you're trading one for the other, I get it. Like you kind of want both, but maybe you can't have both. And people have different preferences on which one they value more. So should I take this next one?
Yeah, do it.
All right, this one is unsigned.
Oh, sorry. Let me get the name for this.
It may be anonymous. I'm not sure.
Let me
but yeah,
I think I just forgot.
Okay. It's a long one, but it's cool. So here we go. Longtime listener. Take two. I'm a longtime listener, electronics engineer, and avid sim racer. I have some insights about the AWS graphics and the hybrid system of these cars in general, since I've been league racing one of the most detailed and realistic F1 sim racing cars publicly available for about a year now. The VRC Formula Alpha 2024 for Assetto Corsa is developed by people who have even more insight into how these modern F1 cars function than me. I've talked with some of them personally, and they give heavy implications that they have some insider knowledge, potentially from working at an F1 team previously. It was recently tested by both Lando and Oscar at the MTC, McLaren Technology Center, and they gave it glowing reviews in the realism section. The MTC actually has a public sim in their showroom, which now uses this car too. VRC has also heavily hinted at a potential collaboration with McLaren for their Formula Alpha 2025, which is coming out soon. By the way, I looked this up, and if you have Assetto Corsa, the video game, you can download the VRC Formula Alpha 2024 for like $6.
Okay.
I'll put a link in the show notes. So anyway, 2 weeks in a row now, you guys have mentioned the battery level graphics shown on the broadcasts, and oh boy, do I have a bone to pick with those stupid things. The thing is, they're not actually based on any sort of actual battery level telemetry coming off the cars, since that is, as you guys have mentioned, completely private data for competitive reasons. Instead, these graphics are powered by AWS, or in other words, based purely on vibes and some dodgy AI stuff. In reality, none of the cars are really changing their battery level lap on lap by all that much during the race. The ideal situation is for your battery on average to be decreasing by a few percent per lap based on how many laps are left until your pit stop or the end of the race. You're not allowed to plug the car in to recharge it during a pit stop, but you can recharge during the entire pit lane speed limit time, which will easily charge the battery up from nearly empty to nearly full. I never thought about that, but that's a great point, because you're capped by speed, but you could use any excess energy to charge your battery. That's
totally
great.
So they're probably revving it way harder, or at least putting more through the drivetrain and then using the dynamo to charge the battery.
Yeah, then would be required to get to that speed. Another interesting thing about the battery development is that on the first lap and out laps during the race, the drivers actually need to deploy as much battery as possible when it's at or near 100% charge for at least one or two straights, not just because undercutting is a very good strategy, but also since so much of the braking power at the rear of the car comes from recharging the battery. You physically cannot use an electric motor as a brake unless it is either charging a battery or it is hooked up to a high power resistor bank, and I can guarantee no F1 car has one of those because I did the math, and the smallest resistor bank I could find rated for that much power was roughly the size of a mini fridge. If your battery hits 100% charge during or before braking, you're in for a Hamilton brake magic at Baku situation, since the rear brakes will suddenly basically stop working. It's okay during qualifying and practice because the drivers are, of course, ready for it and expecting a much more frontward brake bias for their out laps and cool down laps. P.S. Don't even get me started on the new graphics this year that claim to be powered by AI that show how much time a driver has lost due to oversteer/understeer/lockup, etc. If you watch the races and qualifyings with an in-depth timing screen like I do, shout out to Multiviewer F1, you'll see that they literally just take the lap time from the mistake lap and subtract it from the driver's overall best lap that session and pass it off as AI-powered graphics.
Good stuff.
Yes, unsigned, but thank you so much.
Yes, it was sent in by, I believe the name I have here is Matt, fake name, please don't dox me.
Got it.
That was the name. So
got it.
Thanks for that. Yeah, great email.
Amazing.
I hadn't considered a lot about that stuff. It makes sense though, but it's funny how it doesn't. Some of that, I guess, it makes sense, and none of that stuff comes up because it's not something that's strategic about the race. But yeah, isn't that funny? If your battery's full, it's a good point. If your battery's full, you can't charge it anymore, so your brakes don't work as well. Yeah, and so I thought, considering the conversations we're having about 2026 and how much more complex some of that power management stuff is, I think it's a good opportunity to acknowledge how complicated they are right now as well, in ways that we don't even think about.
I wish there was like, and maybe if someone, if this exists, please write in or send it to us. I would love just talk to a driver about what they're doing moment by moment around a lap. Because, okay, yeah, we know that they're like picking braking points and shifting, but like what else is what is taxing your brain during a lap?
Yeah.
How much, when do you have to think about this stuff? What are you thinking about? What don't you have to think about? This is that Tombasi's article goes into more about, he's saying that yes, because there's more systems in these 2026 cars, there is more for a driver to think about, but we're thinking about how to dial down, what to automate, because you want it to be the driver driving the car, but you don't want to saddle them with busy work, right? That like maybe isn't strategic or doesn't actually contribute to their skill. It's just more for them to do. So like that kind of stuff could be automated. I'm really, really curious about that and how that will change for 2025.
Just use AI, just have the AI make all the decisions.
We tried that, Danny. It's called RoboRace, and the cars just drove into walls.
What happened to RoboRace? That's a good point.
What I just said.
Yeah.
Drove into walls.
Has nothing happened since, I think, man.
I can't remember. Something, I don't know.
Who knows? Last email here from Damp Trash says, with the economy getting wonkier by the minute and given the high cost of running an F1 team as well as running an event, do you know how previous global recessions have affected the sport? I'm still pretty new to the sport, but it sounds like the costs going up have been more recent, so maybe we're in uncharted territory. Maybe we'll see a return of pay-to-play drivers, a concept I've only come across since I started watching Rally and wondered, what's the deal with Jordan Senderidis? I do not know who that is, but that sounds very funny. Who's Pastor Maldonado should be your next question. Yes. Thanks for the pod, Damp Trash. So I mean, the last global economic recession crash, whatever you want to call it, happened in 2008, obviously. And there were some pretty significant changes around then. Honda was the first one to fall. They pulled out of the sport, which led to, hopefully I'm getting this right, I believe that's what led to Braun entering the sport in 2009. Also, definitely was why Button ended up at Braun, because he was driving for Honda before he lost that seat. Honda also had like it wasn't a team, but they were sort of backed by Honda. Super Aguri, who had entered the sport not that long before. It was a Japanese-based team. Takuma Sato drove for them. They left the sport in 2008 as well after the crash.
And then McLaren, like Honda's been in and out. Honda is like the McRib.
Yes.
When economics are favorable, they're in.
It returns. But yeah, they were the first to fall, but then it was followed soon after by BMW were in the sport. They were the Sauber owners at that stage, or the partners or whatever. They left the next year. 2009 is when who else? Toyota and BMW were also out of the sport. And then also that's when a lot of the sort of the cost cap stuff started coming in because of a result of all these teams leaving. You had three major manufacturers, Toyota, Honda, and BMW, all leaving the sport. A small, customer team also leaving the sport. I'm sure there was other stuff.
Other teams folding, like Caterham and Marussia. Right,
yeah, exactly. Smaller teams. So this was them sort of attempting to weather that storm. And it was just, there was multiple things. Surprisingly, the US companies seemed to fare pretty well, considering I think the US car market was the one that was worst affected after the 2008 crash. And they just had like a massive exodus of marketing money as well because of everyone tightening their purse strings. So a lot of that, but a lot of stuff that came as a result of that was standardizing parts and limiting the amount of time that could be done on certain research and whatnot. And then ultimately the Braun 2009 season was sort of, a gift from that very tumultuous era, that it sort of emerged out of a very fractured F1 calendar with and then them sort of obviously getting a key piece of technology that helped them to get a bit of an edge early in the season before everyone compressed down and caught up with them, probably because they spent a bunch of research money trying to figure out how to close that gap. It had a fairly massive effect on Formula One for sure. We maybe don't think about it all that much anymore. And in the grand scheme of things, around 2008, Formula One was not the most important thing, so that probably fell by the wayside too. But for sure, this is a sport that runs real close to the red financially, and whenever there is any type of squeezing in that regard, it has a massive effect.
Yeah, I'm a little buoyed by, number one, the sort of global popularity surge that has happened with F1, given Drive to Survive and now the F1 movie.
Diversify your
income. And the cost cap stuff. I think that has just, I remember you would constantly be hearing about, in the same way that cars would break down all the time and we just never think about it, you were constantly hearing about...
teams running into financial issues or
exactly. Yeah. This might be bought by this guy. Now it's teams want, Audi wants into the sport because of the health of the sport.
Yeah. And the global
they're
economy.
not bailing out Sauber. Sauber had an opportunity to sell to Audi. So I think we'll be okay for the foreseeable future.
That's a real line to say.
What could go wrong?
I know, exactly. Everything will be fine. The global AI is a boon to the stock market. We're all doing great.
And the broadcast graphics.
Yep.
All right, shiftf1podcast@gmail.com or f1.cool/emails.
The Emperor's new clothes look great.
I was trying to come up with another Dune reference.
Oh.
Yeah. You can also hit us up on the socials.
The spice. Controls the F1 marketing budgets.
The Curs. Yeah.
That's all I got. Oh, there's a nice there's a connection there with an actor who there's a joke in our family that I call him Benicio del Toro whenever he appears in movies because my wife doesn't know his name and calls him Benicio del Toro every time. I am, of course, talking about Javier Bardem, who is in both the F1 movie and Dune. So there could be a great little crossover there.
Yeah.
Sonny Hayes riding a worm.
I think AI can help you with that too.
Absolutely. There we go. Mid-journey it up. Make it happen.
Shiftf1podcast@gmail.com for all your Dune fanfic.
Exactly.
Crossovers. And follow us on the socials using the link in the show notes. That's us around the internet. Danny, you want to take it around the world?
Let's race around the world. Yeah.
We've got the Craftsman trucks at Darlington, South Kakalaki.
Oh, my darling. Oh, my darling.
For the Sober or Slammer 200.
What? Sober or slam? Is that one word?
Slammer.
Slam. Okay, phew.
Either, Danny.
Either,
you
okay.
drive sober or you get sent to the Slammer.
I thought then they had weird laws, like if you don't drink, you go to jail.
They do things differently in South Carolina.
I'm going to lose my citizenship over this podcast. That's what's going to happen.
The NASCAR Xfinity Series, no longer the Busch Series, unfortunately, is at Portland International Raceway for the Pacific Office Automation 147. Even these paper companies are automating.
Yeah. It's like if there was a new season of The Office, it would all be about Michael Scott using AI to try and...
That's right. I don't actually know if Pacific Office Automation is... It doesn't sound like a... It sounds more like a computer
like
numerical
Haas or
control
something.
machine.
Yeah.
Actual robots taking our jobs.
Took our jobs.
IndyCar is in Music City, Nashville, for the Big Machine Music City Grand Prix.
Big Machine.
All the big machines are racing around.
What's Big Machine?
Good question. Well, you looked it up.
It's a American record label. It's a record label.
I love music.
I love NASCAR.
More racing at Darlington for the Cookout Southern 500.
Oh my. Sober
Should be the
Cookout.
You should call it the Cookout Southern Fried 500 or the Southern Fried 100.
There you go. See?
Call me NASCAR. Call me. And Formula One. Maybe you've heard of it. Friday, August 29th, things kick off. Free Practice 1 at 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time on ESPN2, followed by Free Practice 2 at 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Saturday, August 30th sees Free Practice 3 starting at 5:30 a.m. Eastern on ESPN2, followed by qualifying at 9 a.m. Eastern, also on ESPN2. But the race, everyone, Sunday, August 31st, 9 a.m. Eastern on ESPN.
Do you want to know what races we got for the rest of the year?
Sure.
Dutch Grand Prix. It's coming up this weekend. You've heard about it. Maybe you've heard about it. You have. You've been listening to this podcast. Unless you tuned in right now. That's weird. Italian Grand Prix is a week later in Monza. Then we have a break for a week. And then we're off to Baku. Then we have a break for a week. And then we're off to Singapore. Then we have a break for a week. Then we're off to Austin.
We won't be taking a break on this podcast, by the way.
We will not be taking a break. We did that already.
We're sprinting to the finish.
Exactly. Mexico is a week after Austin. Then a little break, and then Brazil. Then another break. Then Vegas. Then Qatar right after that. And then Abu Dhabi right after that. So triple header to finish the season. We are technically over halfway through the season. This is round 15 of 24. So, yeah.
That's right.
Coming up in the
On
back.
the downhill.
Yeah.
Well, Danny, that's what's going on this weekend and the future. What happened in the past?
In days of yore, today, August 27th, Murray Walker was horrified when he was told he was being joined in the commentary box by one James Hunt in 1980. But the pair soon forged a good working relationship. When Hunt turned up, that is. Today in 1989, the former world champion was nowhere to be found when the Belgian Grand Prix at Spa started. So Murray had to go at it alone. Although he was joined during the race by Johnny Herbert and Martin Brundle, who had both retired from that race.
Amazing.
Both
future broadcasters.
Exactly, yeah. Michael Schumacher has said that Mika Hakkinen was his most worthy adversary, and today in 2000 at Spa, the two had one of their most memorable duels. In the closing stages, Schumacher was leading, but Hakkinen was good looking to overtake. Soon both men were coming up to lap Riccardo Zonda on the Kemmel Straight. Schumi went left, but Hakkinen darted right and took them both. It was the Finn's best ever overtaking maneuver and won him the race. Yes, that is an iconic move in F1 history. The terrific double overtake by Mika Hakkinen. Love to see it. Also, blue flagged car just hanging out in the middle of the road. That's what you got to do, I guess.
Listen, I'm here. Deal with it.
Exactly.
Great. All right. Well, final thoughts, Danny, heading into Zandvoort.
Glad F1's back. Hope we get some rain. Yeah. And long may this title battle continue. But yeah, we're coming in with low expectations to Zandvoort.
Great. All right. Well, if you would like to support the show and get access to all of our bonus episodes, the early ad-free version of the podcast, and the official Shift F1 Discord, you can do so over at patreon.com/ShiftF1. Have a great race weekend, everyone. We will see you all next week.